for our listeners. And he painted a little bit of a picture that was not good for all of us. On the one hand, most South Africans say that they are financially better off than they were maybe a year ago. That sounds like progress, right? But on the other hand, many people don't believe that they'll be in a better position come this time next year because saving feels impossible right now for many households. Retirement seems further away than ever before. Some of your financial pressures are even worse. Like I was saying to you, let's say like I'm a grocery store. What can e re fitlha ko ditšhining because a re tsebe gore o tlo diragalang ko pele o tlo shorta di tlo bounce like you're just not sure. So tonight, rather than focusing only on the numbers, we decided that we actually want to understand the story behind them and why so many South Africans are working harder, earning more in some cases, but yet feeling like they're falling behind. And perhaps more importantly, some of the practical steps that we can take to change this. So I'm speaking to Litterisa once again, joining me, and he is our financial contributor on the show. Good evening, Litterisa. Welcome to Life and Money.
Good evening, Kumun. Nice to join you again once again.
Okay, I want to ask you. A third of South Africans say that they are better off than they were last year. But most are so worried about the future. So why are people feeling so uncertain?
They're actually saying they're feeling better, they're not better off. So it's quite interesting to unpack and to look at. But on the main, from my reading of the article and the situation for that matter, I think one key insight, you'll remember it was a survey that was done by Budget Insurance, is that people are counting on their income security and not necessarily on their budgeting skill. So they're actually relying on the fact that they still have a job and that job seems to be able to stick around for the foreseeable future. So I think that's what's making people feel better off. But it's a feeling, are you really safe? Are you really not? I think one setback in one of the studies has said is all it takes for someone who's quite comfortably in the middle class to basically just fall off the wagon.
And I think the middle class is another lie that give ourselves just to mask some of the debt that we're in. But more
Eh,
than half of South Africans obviously can't afford to save. That's another issue. So what's stopping people from building even those small kind of financial safety nets?
Look, I'll tell you, it's easy to say the fact that there just isn't enough money, but you're seeing people that are in the upper class say that even they can't save. And from my experience and the work that I do with clients, I think one of the first things that I normally advise is, well, pay yourself first. And I think it's a foreign concept until you try it. Take the first 100 Rand, 1,000 rands, 10% of your income, and immediately send it into a savings pocket. Then forget about it. If you're going to be broke anyway in the month, you might as well be broke with the first 10 Rand, the first 100 Rand of your income having gone to a savings pocket. So I think from the work that we do, from a lot of the research that I've seen on how to climb that financial ladder, one of the first or easiest reasons why people are not able to put money away is because they haven't learned that muscle of paying yourself first.
It also shows that debt is affecting people's mental health. I'd like to think it is because now one of the things that I'm scared of and I must declare honestly is debt. I literally get anxiety. I literally start to panic. And I think I even started even when I was in varsity. My friends had the account study show. I was so scared of that thing because I think I came to follow. So how can South Africans manage the financial stress before it even becomes overwhelming?
Look, debt feeds off of silence and avoidance. So, again, from working with a lot of my clients, the easiest way that you get to deal with debt is to actually take a look. So, whether it's SARS, whether it's your clothing accounts, just open the statement and have a look. How much do you actually owe them? That's step one. The second step is to actually talk about it. You'll note that I'm getting in the swing of biblical references. I think there's a biblical scripture that says, negotiate with your creditors. And it's the same here. pick up the phone and say to one of your accounts, listen, I'm not going to be able to make the minimum payment this month, or I'm not even gonna be able to pay you back your entire amount. Can we renegotiate something? Can I rather pay you back in even smaller installments? And you will find that debtors are more willing, people that you owe, they're more willing to have you renegotiate the debt rather than just going completely quiet on it. Then from there, you've got the other avenues. So essentially, you're talking about your debt reviews and that sort of thing, which we can cover another day. But that's much further down the line. I think where I find a lot of people, they're suffering in silence. And I can tell you now that debt stress feeds on that silence and avoidance. Talk about it, even if it's just a little laugh. I remember my aunt one year, she said to me, "Bo botlhe re phela ka di-account." And it just freed my spirit a bit and allowed me to know that, okay, I'm not facing this by myself.
I actually have a comment from a lawyer. Urwara Loga Wadala, but I'm not sure. He says, oh, you could just leave it and let it prescribe. Then he says, no, Kimaga, it'll damage your credit score. I'm like,
Absolutely.
financial advice is just coming from a lawyer.
No, absolutely. Well, it would ruin you. Never, ever, ever close your eyes to it. Remember, we thrive in our industry, we thrive of compound interest. So if you close your eyes to it, the calculator go morale just keeps on going. One more day, one more month, we just carry on adding interest.
So it's saying if my monthly repayment is supposed to be 5 rand, and maybe at the time I can only afford 1 rand, rather I pick up the phone, I call to explain that I can only afford the 1 rand, and then rather pay the 1 rand over a longer period of time, then try and act like I can afford to pay the 5 rand before.
Absolutely. In fact, even rather than the silence, which is what people do, they keep quiet, think, ah, I can't make the 5 rand. It's all doom and gloom. And your creditor on the other side is, well, they just see a default. So you're much better off negotiating, paying off the 1 rand over a longer period of time than just being quiet where you are.
Now, if you could give every South African maybe one practical money habit that we can start from this week even, what would it be?
Automated. Automate something, put something away. 50 bucks, put it away. 50 bucks for 12 months at the end of the year is 600 rands. And you might be thinking, I won't. Well, I mean, first of all, 600 rand is nothing. Well, I always look at it, if someone were to give me that money today, would I say it's nothing? And if 50 rands is nothing to put away, then actually put it away and end up with a whole lot of nothings at the end of the year, rather than factually having zero at the end of the year.
I think I never actually thought of that. And actually, I'm getting another comment that says rather pay your debt. The legal implications are more costly than you think.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the one we can walk away from. And I always say that layer, yeah, middle class, in a Lurifa,
Yeah.
rose-colored glasses where we think we can afford, but in essence, we kind of all living on debt. I can koloi, we patala ka sekoloto, ntlo, we patala ka sekoloto. It's a layer bank until 20 years left. When until 5 years left, sa koloi ke ya banka. And how we notice these things is if you miss one payment, but from our phone, that's why some. So, what advice would you give the middle class? Because I feel like right now they're feeling it, right?
Yeah. Look, I always say to my clients, buy a step below what you can afford. When you go buy a car and your dream car is the latest Mercedes Benz, and only you know that, maybe and a couple of friends around you. But if you buy a step below that, we're still going to be happy that you got a new car and celebrate you, and you're still going to have that car. So I always go a step below what you can afford just to create that breathing room. At least just have a look if you're not going to buy that. It's the same with property. The bank will tell you you can afford to buy, let's say, a 2 million rand house. Have a look at 1.5 million rand houses and see, can't you rather buy that or even negotiate the 2 million rand down a bit and see if you can't rather get that. So always avoid maximizing. The one that I like saying here at home, as a financial advisor, I always say, if I don't see your bank statement, I'm never ever going to confirm that you're well off. And that's because we see the statistics of how many people from SARS submissions can afford a lifestyle of above 20,000 rands a month. That puts you in the top 2% of taxpayers, you know? And I look at that and I think, so how many people are walking around not affording the lifestyle that I envy and give them credit for? And so, what's always worked for me is to say, if I haven't seen your bank statement, if I don't do your financial statements, I'll always assume that you're surviving on credit until I see otherwise. It might make me a bit of a hater, but likely I've got the license to say, as a finance expert, the numbers are not numbering. So I can't assume people are rich when I see the numbers say otherwise.
Let me say to you, that is a very interesting thing. But hear what you're saying, you're looking at it like that.
Yeah, can I license?
Yeah, I'm in license to judge of all.
Yeah.
That. Thank you so much for catching up with us. What are your closing words in today's very depressing topic?
Look, I'd say talk. I think talk, 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 talk. From what I've seen, talking does a lot of the work. From my business, it does pay me. I've grown up with people thinking, why do I have to pay someone to help me manage my money? We all know how to work with Zaga. But I've also seen enough clients come through, talk, pay a bit, and then walk away having met all their goals. It's like having a football coach, no matter how talented you are, it always will help to have someone speaking over your finances, especially from an expert perspective.
That's a good one. I actually have a message from me from our WhatsApp line 0762602815. But however, if your debt is older than 3 years without any contact from any creditor or debt collector, even without acknowledgement of debt, you can claim prescription. So is that we're saying that's true, right?
It's true, but it's very difficult. Nowadays, they'll find a way to get you to just say hello.
Ito matata fela. I voice note for you also. So,
Listen, you sit with your list of dates and you make the calls. I can't speak on the calls that come in. Ke phone ya hao.
but I'm telling you, thank you so much for that.
Always a pleasure, Kumi.
I get it, sometimes it's easy for us to think that financial well-being.
Yeah, there we have it, guys. Yeah, good evening. Cheers.